Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Friday! Welcome to another episode of the SEO Video Show. Today we have Guerin Green on how to rank in AIO and AI mode. It's gonna be a great topic, guys. Be sure to get your questions ready. Guerin, how you doing today?
Doing well. How are you doing, Dre?
Doing great. I can't remember. We actually met at a conference, right? Or
Yeah, we did. We met at spring training a year ago, I think.
yeah, okay. I remember. We were at the table talking with when Chase was with us, right? Was that time? Yeah. All right. I totally remember. And I was like, oh, I know I met you. Guys, if you guys want to go to meet great SEOs, great people, SEO Spring Training is a great conference to check out. Did you speak at the last one, or did you just attend?
Yeah, I spoke on the VIP day to begin things, and spoke at the Mastermind the year before.
Oh, nice. Love it, guys. Be sure to check that out. We have some people coming in already. We have Stefan, my man. Happy Friday. Let me make sure. And you saw the agenda for today? Is everything fine on the...
Yep, everything looked good.
Oh, yeah. Guys, if we get everything covered in today's agenda, you are going to be in for a
froze.
treat.
Come on back.
Oh, yeah, you froze. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Hopefully that doesn't happen a bunch more.
Should be fine. I've put the input... your input so I don't hog up a lot of your bandwidth when you're at least coming in here. We got about 7 more minutes to go. If you're just tuning in, we will be talking about how to rank in AIO and AI mode. I recently watched a webinar by Guerin, and it was packed with information which I want to dissect in today's conversation. He also did a live test. We were both trying to rank for King of YouTube SEO, and we saw some interesting things. We actually had a third person come in. It was Peter Drew. Peter Drew came in and started posting some stuff there too. So great stuff to see what we were doing, to unpack, and how we were able to get into the AIO and AI mode. I see us both, and I'll actually see all three of us now in some of the AI mode searches.
Yeah, it flips back and forth. It's unusual, but I think that's par for the course.
Well, I think it's because we have 3 people trying to optimize it for it, right?
That's right.
I don't think that's normal when we have some other companies trying to rank for a certain term, especially in these times when it's still somewhat new. I don't think there's competition there. But what's great is also seeing the properties that are showing up in organic search as well, right? There was a few things. I saw a lot of your Reddit posts show up.
Yeah, it was. It's been evolving. We could talk a little bit about that when we get going. It's there's a whole range of things. It's interesting that video was not really seeming to drive the boat.
Yeah.
As one would think with that keyword set.
Yeah, especially YouTube.
Yeah. So hard to know exactly what to make of that. But it's going to be I think a moving target.
Yep.
And it's not going to.
Oh no, you're cutting out.
That's one of the key pieces out of it is that, it used to be once you got static rankings for something, you were there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to AI mode, it's like, what I'm seeing is the whole recency thing. Whoever posted something recent will get pulled in. So that's an interesting thing to call out. Just to make sure, do you have, I think, are you using Chrome? If you have Chrome, because Chrome eats...
Yeah, I'm running Chrome.
Do you have other tabs open? Because I think that usually lags.
This is the only window I have open on this machine.
All right.
Yep.
All right, guys.
In fact, I tried to shut everything down.
All right. Yeah, like if you look at your start menu, so usually that will that you're not using. It's a good way to just kind of get some resources. If you're just tuning in, we have Guerin, and we'll be talking how to rank in AI and in AI mode, and even ChatGPT. There was a few things that I want to share with you also that I found in ChatGPT, which was very, very interesting. It was a trip because in that conversation that we had on Facebook, there's just a few things I mentioned on there, which was that's the only place I mentioned something. Like, I believe I made a JavaScript website and got it I made a JavaScript website. ChatGPT pulled that in.
Yeah.
From social. I was like, wait, it's like they're like crawling our social messages because that's the only time I ever mentioned it.
Yeah, that site that you threw up was very strong. And I don't know whether it was based upon, I mean, it's still kicking ass in organic.
Yeah, it's JavaScript. I mean, I'll share things on here. People that are watching will get some things I did on there because you guys can check it out if you figure out how to get past the right click. I try to hide it so people just can't right click and see what I'm doing, but you guys should be able to, if you guys are smart enough, can see what I'm doing. We got less than 3 more minutes to go. We have a great episode today. It's something that I really want to talk about, especially that we had a little friendly Game of Thrones of YouTube SEO with my buddy here, Guerin, and Peter Drew. Peter Drew just came out of the cuts. I was like, hey, where'd he come in?
Well, he's been ranking for that for years, for various king of SEO, king of YouTube SEO. So he had some legacy there. And if it's interesting because I'll wait till we get started to talk a little bit more about the evolution of this. But things the first time I was really got SGE, or now AIO, should pop, was 13 months ago. It's in May of last year. And then he started pitching his, I don't know whether, is it a training? Is it, I don't know what exactly. And Peter and I actually had a great conversation about a month ago on Zoom. And I reverse engineered some of the things he was doing. And it's a different approach. It's different from what I do, different from what you were testing, different from what Holly Starks was testing. So there's multiple ways to sort of skin the cat, as it were, or whatever your animal that you want to skin. I don't want to skin a cat, really. I like cats.
Yeah, I like cats. All right, let's save the conversation for later, guys. I mean, because just like SEO, there's more than one way to rank, right? There's not just one recipe to rank for things. It seems like it's the same for AIO. So we have Kenneth Ellis, hey Guerin, and Dre. Hello.
Hey.
Okay, so I got less than 44 seconds to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and put you on mute real quick. I'm gonna do a quick introduction.
Perfect.
I usually do my 1-minute review, reaction videos, but we have lots to unpack here, so I'm gonna go straight into our interview.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Fletcher, my man. Hey, fellas. How you doing, my man? Don't be shy, guys. If you are in the live chat, be sure to say hi. We have a great episode today. We have Guerin on, and we'll be talking how to rank in AI and AI mode. And we'll talk about a challenge that him and I and a third party joined in to see how we were ranking for the YouTube SEO king. All right, guys.
Yeah. Hey, time to get it started. No delay. Let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre de Vera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO. You will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show. Hey.
Welcome welcome to another episode of the SEO Video Show, where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul-Andre de Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week. It's about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and today we have Guerin of Novel Cognition. Be sure to check that out. And let's say, before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Kenneth, Fletcher, Ernesto, Stefan. Welcome, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
Hey, Dre, why did the SEO cross the road? They wanted to get hit by traffic.
Oh, yeah, my buddy Morty with the jokes there. So I did not have any time to gather some Google news for us because I actually did launch a new website which is related to this conversation we're having today. You can check out AEO.so, AEO.so, AEO.so for the conversation for answer engine optimization, an interactive checklist. So check that out. So now let's get right into our interview.
Hey, Dre, why did the SEO cross the road? They wanted to get hit by traffic.
All right. I don't know why I did that. Let me try this again.
Hey, Dre, why did the SEO cross the road? They wanted to get hit by traffic.
Hold on, guys. Let me just make sure I get to... Guerin is the owner and publisher behind Cherry Creek News, North Urban News, and Stapleton Tower Ledger. He's built an early career in journalism and political consulting, and over the past several years, he's trained into AI-powered SEO. He's the head of Novel Cognition. He's leveraged proprietary AI tools for keyword research and content creation. Recently, Guerin has launched high signal Facebook community for NA and automation practitioners. Please welcome Guerin Green. My man, welcome to the show.
That was a truly frightening montage there.
I had one was a few years back. Well, there's a few 1 year back, and there was like I couldn't find any other videos, so I had to kind of go stalk you on Facebook and grab some photos on there.
That'll do it.
All right, everyone, please welcome. Give us a round of applause. All right, welcome, Guerin. So I want to go right into this. Is the first question I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. In 1 minute or less, how does Guerin get ranking on page 1 of Google?
Disrupt the SERPs.
Oh, yeah, there we go. First knowledge bomb of today. Hold on, let's rewind this real quick. All right, take us way back. When did you finally kind of like get into SEO?
Oh, what a loaded question. So I built my first client websites in 1995. I built one for a financial services firm, and then I built one for a political client. And back then, the only way people would find you on the web is if you told them where to look. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of conventional PR, and it was pretty effective. If you get a newspaper to talk about your website, you generally got some traffic. Yep. I don't think I didn't even know what SEO was for at least a dozen years after that. Mm-hmm. I had an unusual path. I started life as a wannabe physicist, ended up being a political consultant, built the first hosted voter file database any place in the country. Wasn't sitting on a mainframe someplace. And then I ended up kind of by accident starting a print newspaper in the mountains of Colorado and the gambling towns of Central City and Blackhawk, and serving that county, which is Gilpin County. Mm-hmm. And I ended up at one point, I had 4 publishing print newspapers. So I was printing a whole lot of newspapers every week. And those all ended up, actually one of them didn't, but they all ended up with early websites, early experiments in contact management systems, first with Mambo, I think, and then
Oh yeah, I
Joomla, and
remember
then
that.
yeah, painful. It was a very painful period trying to get content basically out of InDesign or Quark Express and get it on the web. But a, a satirical piece that one of my writers wrote um, right at the release of the first iPhone,
Mhm.
and it got traction and it got picked up by a ton of other news sources and kind of got addicted to getting that traffic on the web.
Mhm.
Um, and then after the financial crash of '08, that really hit the newspaper industry about uh, 3 or 4 years later, when most of my papers were actually mailed into people's homes.
Mhm.
The price of newsprint basically tripled overnight, and all of a sudden it became um, not really a functioning business proposition to do print newspapers anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was left with these legacy uh, news sites and had to find a way to monetize them in a hurry. And that's when I started a more formal SEO journey, like actually
Ah.
finding out what SEO meant and stood for. So that was really in about the 2012, 2013, really started trying hard to rank. And it was much easier to rank back then,
Mhm.
especially with the way that Google was structured and treated news back at that period of time.
Mhm.
Um, you could basically throw up almost anything. And then um, ended up, headed down a road doing some international consulting, both for sort of Team USA and affiliated organizations overseas.
Mhm.
Um, and that's when I started getting into doing the video SEO stuff, which
Ah. Actually,
wasn't. Go ahead.
oh, oh, no, 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 no. Okay, video. So the video system. I'm curious. So like, let's kind of backtrack a little bit. So like, how'd you actually learn it then? How'd you actually learn SEO when you decided to go into, full on
Trial and error.
trial and error? No one
Yeah. I
no
mean,
one you
we
followed? Any like forums or
not,
resources?
no. I mean, I had literally no clue what I was doing. Um, but news ranked well then. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
before,
yeah.
um, and news still ranks well. It's just a different process. But I was just trying to replicate where we had success.
Mhm.
And so I started using, like, uh, we were making a lot of money off YouTube back 2016, 2017. Well, a lot of automated video production coming off RSS feeds and repurposing stuff, and
Mhm.
was big on using SendWire.
Oh
And that's,
yeah,
yeah.
I do remember that.
So, yeah, I mean, and that was, essentially the same approach we used internationally.
Mhm.
We got involved in some of the early countering of Russian disinformation in the Balkans,
Mhm.
um, and was able to dominate. Of course, we were working in English mostly, but some of it was in other languages um, with YouTube very easily and very quickly. And
Mhm.
then YouTube shuffled everything, killed off zillions of channels in 2017. And people that were doing video SEO back in that period remember that Holocaust where I don't know how many channels we lost
Oh
and
man.
accounts.
Mhm.
I blame it all on Holly Starks. I think Holly pushed the envelope and the big G took revenge on all of us. But that's really how I got started, was that non-intentional progression of trying to use assets,
Mhm.
build digital assets, and then find different ways to employ them. And having a background in running campaigns and doing, I don't know how many millions of pieces of direct mail over the years, producing TV ads, producing radio ads. Just SEO is just really kind of an extension of that in a lot of ways.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to go. Let's when you talk about RSS feeds and SendWire, I'm curious because we haven't like I haven't heard anyone mention that like ever. So I'm curious. Like, are you still doing like RSS like optimization? Like, are you incorporating into your SEO right now? Like that particular tactic?
Yeah, it's different now because you're not able to automate in the same way that you could with SendWire. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
RSS is still kind of a key thing. The great tool, Damon and Wayne's tool, RSS Masher, is really a powerful tool.
Okay.
Released a training. God, when was that? 2019, 2020? Maybe it's 2021. We call it the Screaming Bird, which is a RSS syndication. Basically it's a parasite play using kind of a deprecated uh, platform
Mm-hmm.
for
So
testing RSS feeds.
so when it
Um,
comes to RSS, you still see it working till today, like, and it's still part of your process of getting
yeah,
things
I mean,
going.
yeah, we've got, I don't know how many syndicated RSS feeds. Uh, a lot of that now with AI we can rewrite on the fly.
Yeah.
Um, it's really the master automation tool.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in the era where N8N can do all of that stuff and more, but
Mm-hmm.
still as a trigger, as a source, RSS feeds are still great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're resident in almost every platform. Some people turn them off in WordPress, but generally there's an RSS feed coming from every place.
Mm-hmm.
And I like synthetically creating RSS feeds. So blending and mashing them together or dropping content into an RSS feed that doesn't appear originally on a site. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different plays you can use with RSS feeds, and it it's the way to spread the word.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Got it.
in
Got
a
it.
lot of ways,
At For those that because
go ahead.
like I mentioned, this is the first time that you're using RSS feeds in their SEO strategy has been mentioned here, and I've heard it before. At a high level, can you explain what like one strategy of using an RSS feed to help with our SEO and what's going on right now, or the one of the strategies you're doing right now?
Sure. One of the basic
Yeah.
ways is, you're going to take content and syndicate it via an RSS feed and then repurpose it someplace else, either in socials or other platforms. So you could take, uh, an RSS feed from a WordPress site and then repurpose that into Medium or an S3 bucket or whatever. You're just trying to take the same content,
Mm-hmm.
maybe modify it, maybe not modify it, but get eyes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Try to drive that traffic back to the original property.
Yeah.
That's one easy way, but there's a lot of other things you can do with RSS feeds that um, you can trigger off. You could still create an RSS feed that will pull from a news search in Google News.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to really have a legacy uh, set up in. I'm trying to even remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But it is Google Alerts is what the public facing piece of it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But you could set up an alert for a search in Google Alerts. One of the options there is to create an RSS feed. Most people just use it as a email notification. So if you get, if say you're tracking a company or an industry and you set up an alert and it emails you every day, or you set up an alert based on your own name. So you can see where you're appearing, somebody's out there slagging you, you want to know about it. But you can actually use it to get a feed of actual news in that topic. And in the old days, we were building videos off that. Now
Mm-hmm.
we're not using that approach directly, but that is a useful substrate of content that you can then repurpose and use different ways. And I think RSS feeds, every once in a while, somebody talks about one of the formats being deprecated or, you know, Google not paying attention to them anymore or whatever. But still, the way that, up until I think very recently, Google was looking at RSS feeds on the news side very heavily. That was the way they were scraping the news off sites that they then repurpose. Same goes with Microsoft, with Bing. Um, and a number of other aggregators. So it's still useful. Tailoring your RSS feeds, including other content in it. That's the great thing about RSS Masher. Maybe we could put up a link in the description to it. Those guys have done some things where they create evergreen content that's a ride along in RSS feeds. They call it a helpful content add-in, but you could put listicles in there. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do, and it's still a go-to tool for video syndication. So that is, I couldn't imagine not using RSS feeds as sort of a cornerstone, not just a strategy, but like a day-to-day tactic as well.
Got it. Okay, guys, rssmasher.com. I believe it's rssmashers.com. So be sure to check that out.
I think so. Yeah.
So I put the link in the live chat to check that out. So why I brought that up was because in our if you guys didn't know, Guerin and I had like a Game of Thrones of YouTube SEO. Who was the king of YouTube SEO on Facebook? And then we had a third party come in, and which just brings us to our topic of today: how to rank in AIO and AI mode. So I want to for those that's and we will talk about this. Feel free to include your findings from this competition that we had on Facebook into like our conversation today. So for those that don't know what you firsthand seen the shit firsthand, right? Google is publishing hard into AI overviews. For those that can you quickly explain the AI overviews and AI mode and why it matters to SEOs right now? Just a really high level.
Sure. I mean, that's the direction things are going. We know from the document dump that was part of the penalty phase of the Google antitrust suit that they're basically switching to an AI first model in terms of just universal search. And then on top of that, you have the AI overviews, which is, they've got a specialized model. It's not a pure LLM. It's really sort of a resource augmented, but it also is incorporating. I mean, it has a name. It's called Magit. We could put up the link maybe to the future search that Lee Witcher and I did. But it is where search is going. Right now, you are seeing it in AI overviews being triggered in some cases for multiple variations of search terms. It is, when it is being triggered, it is a query fan out. So it is much like if you, in traditional search, if you click through all the PAAs and you saw all the related queries and all the related responses, that's all feeding into that AI overview. So the model, when you're searching, is actually trying to interpret exactly what it is that you are asking. So it's using what they call Google Fast Search to do a quick estimation of what you're looking for, but also then blending that with an interpretation of what the model thinks your actual intent is with your search. And that's what you're seeing in AI overviews, is sort of all of that resolved into a single response.
Excellent.
All right. So let's go into the webinar you just mentioned. So the webinar you did with Lee, that's something I watched. It was like 2 hours long. It's probably the longest webinar I watched ever. But I did watch it in 1.5 speed, so I was able to get through it. But there's a lot of insights you shared in there, right? So I mean, how much of it is more theoretical, and what are you seeing that's actually impacting rankings?
Well, the bulk of that webinar is about stuff that is not just theory. I mean, it's literally what happened in the Google antitrust case, for those that haven't followed it, is in August of last year, there was a ruling in a court case where there were actually 2 court cases originally. The states, led by the state of Colorado, my state, and I do have to always say I do know the Attorney General, and my daughter interned for him, and one of my good friends was one of his deputies, and so I always get that out of the way. But I've not talked with our attorney general about the case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Google, don't drag.
Oh. Uh-oh. This usually happens when you say Google.
I froze.
Yep. That always happens when someone mentions Google. So when someone mentions Google, it freezes.
Unbelievable.
They're listening. They're listening.
They are listening. But in any case, they were found to be liable for breaking antitrust laws. Mm-hmm. And there were documents associated with that finding. There's a 296-page order and finding by the court. It's really a fascinating read. Get a hold of me. I'll get people a copy if they're interested in the details of it. But I gave the keynote or a keynote at SearchCon up near Boulder, Colorado in September, and basically went through all of the stuff that we could get out of that case.
Nice.
But Google had sealed a lot of the expert testimony. And obviously they turned over to the Justice Department something like 7 terabytes of data, which I would love to have. But you can't get it.
Why not?
Because it's under seal. Yeah. No, it's literally, it's under judicial seal. And they also, Google managed to convince the court to seal a lot of the expert testimony. So Google brought experts to bear on the matter of their antitrust stuff, and so did the states, and so did the federal Department of Justice. So we didn't get to see all that, but we could read between the tea leaves in the decision, and the decision was masterful. It's amazing. We think that when the court system interacts with technology questions, they often screw things up because they just don't have the fundamentals down. Judge Mehta, in this case, he must have had some fantastic clerks because they really got the essence of what search is about and Google's activities over the years. And so that SearchCon keynote was about that. And then flip ahead, there's now the penalty phase in that case where the judge gets to decide what hammer to bring down on Google. And, there's a lot of speculation. DOJ has asked for a number of things to happen. The biggest one that it almost certainly will happen is that they will find a way to strip Google's agreements with Apple, with Samsung, et cetera, to be the default search engine on those devices or in those browsers. So at some point, you'll open up Safari on an iPhone. You will have to opt in. You will have to make a decision about what search engine to use. They will also probably, it seems likely that they will lose Chrome, that they will have to sell off Chrome. And that matters tremendously to Google because in this court case, particularly with what we've seen now in what's called the penalty phase, the exhibits there show us very clearly how much Google is dependent upon Chrome creating a data stream. So not just what we all think of as CTR, click-through rate, right? I think everybody watching this is cognizant of what click-through rate is and bounce rate.
Yes.
In people's efforts to manipulate that. Not that I would ever manipulate anything like CTR using CTR booster or micro workers or a distributive CTR network like I've created. Would never do anything like that. Right. But clearly that is a big piece of it. It has a name within the Google system. It's called Nav Boost. It has about 13 months of data in it. They also use data from Chrome in a system called Glue. And Glue basically monitors what people are looking at on the page, particularly when you've got these other SERP factors, whether it's a map or knowledge graph or whatever, they're monitoring when you've got Chrome what you're looking at. And so those two streams together become really a cornerstone of, and they describe this in their documents as handcrafted, meaning It is a set of algorithms that we know, because the amount of data there is that they collect, there's only really one way computationally that they can analyze all that. They use what we call population or descriptive statistics. So mean, mode, standard deviations, et cetera. They probably use, and then they talk about this, I think they use the term sigmoid function. We would think of it generally as a threshold, as a step function. And so those handcrafted signals, those ranking signals, are literally somebody has trained an algorithm to set points based upon the data that's input. And that's different now from what we see with BERT or RankBrain, these machine language or artificial intelligence components of the ranking system. So when you're seeing search results today, you're seeing a blending of traditional algorithms, which I believe are driven by statistical analysis of behavior, whether that's backlinks, whether that's on page, whether that's CTR. So they actually describe these things as ABC very helpfully in one of these documents. Document from February of 2025. So this is like what they're doing right now. That stuff is blended in then with machine language models to create not just the AI overview, but the search results themselves.
All right, cool. Now that we have a great background of what's going on here with the AI overviews and AI mode, let's get right into some of the insights and tactics that you've actually kind of I was able to actually extract from this webinar. One of the things was like someone asked you just straight up, like, what are some of the strongest signals that you've seen that correlate being featured in AI overview or AI mode?
So I've been trying to trigger AI overviews for 13 months now. My first successful experiment was mid-May of last year, and I ended up doing an AI conference here in Denver in July. And it's, why I did the conference was beginning to work down this path. The things that were mattering then matter a little less now. Like the net is broader, but news was clearly a triggering factor. And when I say news, I mean content that is on a news site and that's different from a press release site. There's a couple reasons why that difference is important. One is a very mechanical piece, which is if you are a news publisher, according to Google, you're supposed to put press releases in a special part of your news RSS feed.
Okay.
So there's a separate, and I don't have any idea how many people actually adhere to these guidelines, but you're supposed to denote something as being a press release. And so press releases in my testing a year ago were not terribly effective because of that demarcation. I think there's a secondary effect, and that secondary effect may now be the primary effect, is one of narrative form. So when you look at any set of documents, they all have a narrative form. So news writing has a particular narrative form. That's this pyramid structure everybody learns in J school. It's the use of quotes to illustrate things. It's a very particularized form. And a machine language model can look at a piece of news content and very quickly ascertain that is indeed news content. Press releases generally don't follow that form as strictly. And so there's other things in a press release that you see distributed that look different from news content. So I believe, and my testing, I think, proves out that Google differentiates between a press release and news. But you, sir, demonstrated that in terms of disrupting searches at this point in time, as we sit here in, May and June of 2025, that press releases have a great deal of value in sort of disrupting the SERP. And I believe that disruption is based upon Google's longstanding bias for frequency and recency. So frequency is how often a given source publishes. So if you're, a weekly newspaper, you're generating, say, 7 pieces of content a week and you're putting it out online. If you're a daily, you're doing, much more rapid, much more frequent creation of content. Mm-hmm. And then recency is related to that, obviously, but it is how fresh something is, literally how old it is in time. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at sort of a schematic of one of the easier ways to disrupt the AI overviews and disrupt the SERP is to have an appearance in something that has frequency and has recency. Mm-hmm. And I believe that is why you were successful with press releases. And also, if you'll notice, from your experience, not all of those press releases had the same muscle behind them. No. And not all of them would appear as sources in the AI overview. Mm-hmm. So it is much more variated. I don't, there's a different impact. And if you use the same platform tomorrow, you might get a different set of results. Whereas my approach was I used one news site that is a news site. It wasn't a press release. It was actual news.
Okay. That's what
that popped up and had the same strength as a multitude of press releases. In the end, though, you had great results because your core property, your new site, worked very well. And so we talked a little bit about it offline, but the ingredients that you put into that site anchored that, where I was using news to anchor everything else. So I built AI parasites. I built, kind of traditional parasite content that pointed back to the news in some cases, but I actually established my parasite content first. And then the news content drew from the parasite content. So that's if anybody's trying to replicate or wants a cookbook or a formula, that would be one of the first takeaways. And we're actually going to, Holly Starks is doing an event in Wisconsin in late July, early August. Holly and I are doing the VIP day. It's a mastermind event. And so we'll be talking in depth about some other elements of it. But that is the one thing that I think we know works very well at this moment is, forum content as a parasite in these UGC environments. So that's, LinkedIn, Reddit, et cetera. Doesn't always work, but it is triggering kind of in this space where it's more of a novel search. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people searching for the king of YouTube SEO. Hopefully not. I mean, be weird.
Well, I've seen it. Well, I've seen the search volume come up. I think it's because of us.
We have people searching it.
But we have a lot to cover here. So I want to for the next few questions I have, let's do kind of like some fast like kind of just bam bam bam. So I want to go. So for those that don't actually realize what we're talking about, it's like again we. Guerin and I actually did like a Game of Thrones of YouTube SEO. We were trying to see who can be the king of YouTube SEO or the YouTube SEO king, however you want to search it. We were trying to kind of optimize for variations of a YouTube SEO king, and we were able to trigger AI overviews, and we were able to what's even cool is that we are able to see what's being pulled in because we are actually optimizing it like in our own ways. And we actually had a third person come in, Peter Drew, who was actually doing some stuff too. So we were able to kind of see what was going on. So if you guys want to analyze that, just search who is the king of YouTube SEO or who is the YouTube SEO king, and you'll be able to see all the different things that are being pulled in, what's being ranked on page 1. So we're going to go and talk about this. Like this is a lot of stuff, you mentioned the Parasite. I actually built a brand. So that was kind of my thing of the brand, the website. I actually built a brand because I felt like building a brand and was I felt was going to be strong. That was my angle because I saw that that was what I was going to do. I was going to build a quick brand. I made news about that brand. Like, hey, Paul Andre just built a new brand, the YouTube SEO King. So it's a brand right now. So that's kind of like I feel like I may have the edge right here, is because I kind of created it as a brand. So
100%.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I did. And for you guys, if you guys were listening to what we were just recently talking about, I'm going to share this with you guys. If you guys pick this up, great. But the reason why you see different PR syndication sites come up is because I drip index them. So like when the new ones get indexed, the new one pops up. So it kind of replaces, it keeps things fresh. Even though it was published on a certain date, it's getting indexed at a different dates at a different time. So I'm drip feeding the indexes, which is kind of pulling it up. So guys, that's kind of a secret. If you guys didn't catch that, that's how I'm working that. So let's get into, but it's not about me.
That's super effective. I mean, don't sleep on that, folks. What he did was super effective. And so as those get pushed up, it is reinforcing the entity that is the Dre YouTube SEO King brand. I mean, it is what a beautiful test bed, and you executed on this marvelously.
Yeah. So
because usually I can smash anybody. I mean, it's just, I don't go out and do this very often. I don't launch jack or do any of that crap anymore. Although that's another great testing environment.
Yeah, launch jacking. We can do some. I mean, we can even it could be, you can be more competitive stuff that I can test. Like, this is something that we can keep on going, because I'm very passionate about this. I literally launched AIO.so, kind of like recording everything I'm doing, giving it free for everyone if you guys want to check it out. But again,
it's brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
It's brilliant. Well, he did. I mean, his stuff is, what he's done with that site will help people learn in a way that, the only other thing that's going to match that is having over the shoulder with somebody who's actually proficient at it and doing it.
Yes.
If you don't have those resources, if you can't get to a mastermind like Holly and I's day in Wisconsin, use Dre's new site. It is a very, very good resource.
All right. Again, this is not about me. It's about you, Guerin. So let's get right into it. So you mentioned something about fast search and expired click data. What is that about?
Well, I mean, there's a couple, and again, we're reading the tea leaves, right? We're trying to pull together pieces from documents that are, in some cases, very redacted, and two, Google doesn't want us to know about. So they're being compelled to release this, and the court has been agreeable in giving us, well, actually, the Justice Department.
Oh, you froze again.
They don't want us to know or understand particularly what they're doing. But fast search is this, it's the first pass where they're looking at a query, and it is their way of looking at a search and giving a rapid result. And also, it is the first pass in ranking. So sort of imagine that there is, multiple passes to their making a decision about who's going to be on page one for a given search string. Fast search is just that quick evaluation. Right, and and it's being powered by a artificial intelligence model. It's no longer subject to some of the sorts of manipulation that we used to know about. And the thing you brought about expired click data, they're keeping 13 at this point. They're keeping 13 months worth of click data, and that's that combination of nav boost and glue. We don't have granular insight into how that's processed, but we know they're using it, and they're that the pieces that are the ingredients to that, or they called it ABC, which is very helpful. ABC is basically backlinks, it is on page, and it is the user generated piece, the click-through rate, and all the browser data that they're getting. So they're making, in that those are what they call handcrafted elements of it, meaning that part of the algorithm that's feeding into the fast search is not machine learning, although it probably is in some respects. It's probably, retuning itself dynamically based upon, disruption in SERPs and search volume and user behavior. The relative ratio of on page to backlinks to CTR probably varies dynamically, but the cut points, sort of like the thresholds, are probably relatively fixed based upon factors that we're not entirely certain of.
Got it. Okay, now let's get into CTR manipulation, or at least CTR optimization. Being a powerful single. What are some ways that you've increased CTR today that you seem to work? I mean, whether it's like black hat, regular hat, whatever hat. I mean, like what's been working for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a numerous ways you can create CTR flow. And it's one of those things you have to be very careful with. You need to, do some fraction of what the search volume is. You just can't slam CTR. Google's much more, adept at ferreting out our schemes. Also, one of the things that we learned is that they treat logged in data versus not logged in data very differently. And so they're probably, if you're not logged in, they're probably just missing that click data. They want to know about you. They want to have your search history. They want to use that to filter your click through.
Interesting.
And that's their move to getting rid of. You've got to have JavaScript enabled now to view their data. That's not just an attack on the the Ahrefs of the world. It's also on a clear shot across the bow at CTR manipulation. So, I think if you want to be really successful with CTR manipulation now, you have to have your volumes dialed in, and you're best off using. I mean, what I've done is I've created distributed CTR networks. So I won't go into. I'm not going to put out in public exactly how this works, but you can imagine getting ways of inducing a lot of different people to begin a search query or use a manipulated URL, and getting people that are going to be, they're going to be logged in on their device. They're probably going to be mobile. They're always going to be mobile in a distributed network. I guess you could do it with desktops, but it would be silly. So it's mobile first. It's logged in users, and it is looking natural. I mean, you're essentially trying to, if you're chasing an entity, it's got to look like a brand that's gone viral.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into our next one. I mean, we have a lot more. We only have a few more minutes here, but I want to go to. Let's just go like bam, bam, bam. AI parasites. This was something that we actually talk about. So, what are some? Just can you list a few AI parasites that that we should be looking at? That others that you seem to have been working.
Well, it's a constantly evolving field. There's like a new one every couple of weeks. I've got a training on it, so I'm not going to take away from what people have paid for. But essentially, the idea is this: it is a parasite where AI generates the content, and in most cases, the AI platform then hosts that content. And that's different from a traditional parasite play where you're piggybacking on, say, a LinkedIn Pulse post. This is something where it's an AI site. It's generating the site, and it's hosting the site.
Yep.
And, in my mind, there's a couple things happening. One is sort of the conventional play. So I'm taking up real estate in the SERP, or I may be generating traffic. If I'm offering value, I'm going to get traffic to that site. But also, because it's AI generated, I'm training the model. I'm training the model about that entity. I'm training that model about Dre, YouTube SEO king.
Yep.
There's an interplay there that is reflective, and that's going to be part of the game going forward. You've got to be able to find ways to educate models on whatever your search priority is, whether it's brand, whether it's local, however you do it. You're going to have to find ways and to do that. And for me, I've been building AI parasites since last September, I think. First started out, Brian Cato and I were at SearchCon, and this guy was talking about this particular project he had done, and he's like, I bet I can outrank him while I'm sitting here before he's done talking. and we were able to do it, of course. But but one of the issues was we built pages in Perplexity, and Perplexity at one point, those pages would get indexed and crawled, and now they're no index, no crawl. So you got to find other ways to get those Perplexity pages into Google. So I had a couple ideas. I think I stole one or two from Brian, and we were able to do that. But that was sort of the first evolution of it. And now we've got tons of platforms. We had a fantastic platform that's in my training that went away. It got shut down or something happened to it, and it was one of the best. But there's various ways to do that. And again, the key things are, good content, train the model, have it something that can generate traffic. I mean, one of the things I built that was a parasite, and I'll go ahead and just spill the beans on the workflow. It's, looking at trade issues. So it's analyzing trade between China and US, looking at shipping volumes, port volumes. Very good stuff. I took a subdomain from a dusty domain, pointed it at that site, and it's doing pretty well.
Interesting there. So we have something here from Juan. Guerin the Legend, what do you do to build your high power sites?
It varies. I mean, some of it is this pure AI parasite play. Some of it is a more traditional approach. Even you could do great stuff with stuff like CTRFI, even, which is something that people have been sleeping on and now feels dated when you get into it. But those sites structured properly still do pretty well. I mean, still generate traffic. Got one that's in a legal space. It's, I'll just go ahead and spill the beans. It's on Medicare fraud, which is not the most common instance, but those are very valuable cases. So it's really, it's an evolving piece. It's a lot of it is, driven by what horizontal you're in, what vertical you're in. So geo versus niche. And I can't give away all the secrets, but there's not a secret, right? There's not one thing. It's testing, it's getting enough experience that you have some intuitions to start testing. And you could generate hypotheses all day long. And you've got to have, realistic, practical, pragmatic ways to test. But to be honest, I mean, I think one of the questions we're going to cover was, what's your testing regime look like? Well, a lot of days it's just hitting refresh over and over and over and over again and digging around, seeing what's out there, looking. I mean, there's a ton of opportunities. I think there are actually, in some ways, there are more opportunities in straight up SEO today than there ever have been. Which is interesting because the constant refrain is SEO's dead, AI is taking all my clicks, etc. The reality is it's not dead. And the field is in some ways more wide open than it ever has been before. There are more tools, there are more exploits, there are more approaches. And man, you delivered on that proposition. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that I've got some secret cookbook. I mean, what Dre did was a very accessible, very successful approach.
All right. So I only got about 3 to 4 minutes left here. So I want to go and rapid fire on these ones. Let's say, okay, you mentioned schema and entity optimization is something that you mentioned a lot. I mean, what's the minimum viable setup for structured data for targeting AIO? What are you using there?
God knows. I mean, one of the things that the one insight that I've got that I think is different from what you hear in most places is if you use structured data to prompt engines, whether that's Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, you name it. If you create your prompts in structured format, whether that's JSON or XML, it helps. It allows the AI to understand with a great deal more precision what you're prompting about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to train models to reflect something, and I don't have the discipline to do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had, a client that I was really concerned with, and you wanted to get them into AI models,
mm-hmm.
the first prompts that you use and the first prompts that you test need to be structured data.
Oh.
Damn!
All right, I see that. I see how that can work too, because I've seen this done when I'm building my no-code websites. I'm like, okay, so it's better when I have a structured JSON, and it builds it like flawlessly. I get less errors.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because the model doesn't have to figure out what you're talking about.
Yes.
You're talking to the model in its language.
That's awesome. That's awesome information, guys. And I think that's actually a really good tip just for building things also in AI. I mean, I just actually figured this out by building actually the some of the sites I just put out recently. But great stuff there. So let's talk. You talk about writing like a language model. So short burst prompt style responses. Can you kind of give an example of this? Is this the JSON or kind of like the structured data you're referring to?
Yeah, it's closer to that. I mean,
Okay.
if you want a model to pick up your content, you need to structure the content in a way that the model can easily access. I mean, if it's going to basically turn your content into a vector embedding, make it really clear. That's what you're asking to have happen. That's different from that approach I was talking about before, where you're using narrative form to tell Google that you have implicit authority. Mm-hmm. That's a different sort of approach. But you're going to have to mix and match. You can't rely on one content style in 2025 and in years going forward. You're going to have a mixture of content styles.
Got it.
Even if the underlying content's the same.
Love that. We're seeing AI pull from Reddit, Quora, X. How do SEOs use this without being spammy? Because I know I was being spammy. I just did it and posted it. But so how can we do this? I mean, I saw you posting on Reddit a lot. I saw some Reddit posts that you're showing up. I saw like an AARP site or something. I saw a few sites that you're posting that are not traditionally something you'd post, like a YouTube. Use of SEO case.
Yeah, clearly that Reddit thing, Google's trying to offset their costs for figuring out what the hell to rank and what the hell matters. And so they're outsourcing that to humans, Redditors in that case, but also other platforms. So wherever, and it's just a matter of searching through and digging through the right sort of forums and see if those forums then have a co-occurrence in the search results, and then structuring that stuff. I mean, I've tried a couple different ways. One of those Reddit approaches is very long form, very detailed, and some of it's just throw shit at the wall, traditional Reddit crap, and that's so again you're mixing narrative form, you're trying to simulate or replicate what else is out there.
Got it.
It's also, I mean, it's good for users too, right? I mean, if you're trying to actually inform people, you want to have that, and that's really what content creation is about at the end of the day. I mean, you can look at it like some kind of game, like you're trying to, scam the search engine. Really, that's not a long-term effective approach. You want to give a reader some value for a whole lot of reasons.
So you mentioned repetition trains the model. Can you explain how repeated brand mentions across the web influence AIO? I mean, I think we kind of talked about this.
A lot of it has to do with this, the way that AI models work. I mean, it's just like a human brain. You get these synaptic paths that get reinforced by you keep doing the same thing, or you keep reading the same thing or doing the same thing, to the point where your brain no longer has to think about it, right? Mm-hmm. That's literally how our brains work. That's how our nervous system works. AI models are neural networks. They are, they basically, even though we don't know exactly how the complicated models are working these days, we really haven't understood how AI works since 2017. but the basic idea is that in in-dimensional neural network, and it reinforces just like a biological neural network does. And so when you give it repetition, you have the chance of it repeating and reweighting its vector embedding of whatever it is you're trying to rank or get it to repeat or understand. And that's the way models are trained. They're trained literally by that exact process.
Yeah. So you also briefly mentioned robots.txt. This is something I also did with my own site. I'm curious, like, what are your ways of optimizing the robots.txt when it comes to like ranking, allowing AI bots to access and, for ranking?
I don't really optimize. I'm not blocking the bots.
Okay.
I mean, if you want them to reflect your content, they've got to be able to crawl it. There's also the question of whether or not anybody actually obeys the robots TXT, whether it's an LLM or a researcher or Google, somebody claiming to be Google, another bot. Obviously you can tell from your own analytics, but does anybody actually follow these things?
Yeah.
When push comes to shove, that's a colorable question. So I think you want even though some level you may be losing traffic to an AI model, you want the AI model to know that you exist.
Exactly. You mentioned, speaking of robots.txt, and you just mentioned LLMs. I mean, what are your thoughts on LLMS
text? It is my friend Garrett would say it's not a standard yet. It's because of that we don't know exactly. But again, it's much like having schema. It is to make the model's effort to understand your content less burdensome. So if you've got a way to create it at this point in time, you're doing it on an automated basis, hopefully. I mean, I can't imagine. There's no reason to like go out and handcraft an LLMS file at this point, certainly. Don't do that. But if you've got an automated tool, do it. Why not? What's the downside?
Use AI. Help you make
exactly.
That. All right. So
exactly.
All right. So I mean, we're out of time. So if there was 3 things that you would tell someone right now who's watching this, who wants to like that's hard signals that you've tried and tested that would get them ranking within AIO or AI mode for even just maybe just their name if they're searching for their own name. Let's say because like usually if they're saying who is Paul Andre Vera, who is Guerin Green? If you want to search that,
and you want
to trigger that, so
fire that snippet.
So how do you do that?
News or press release is going to be top the list. Spread that brand out like it's some kind of creeping fungus. Get that brand everywhere.
RSS feeds in, right? You can just syndicate it everywhere. That your brand.
Yeah, or use create an automation, whatever it is you need to do. Get that out there. And then again, frequency and recency. So, you want to, if you're targeting your own name, so sort of like self-reputation management, set yourself a publication schedule. I'm going to publish, the third week of the month, every month, except for 3 of them. And then those months I'm going to publish on the 2nd and 4th week. I want to make sure that I'm appearing in things where there's right along content that is more frequent, so that there's that piece. I mean, I think EAT by and large is kind of bullshit because I don't know how an algorithm evaluates something that humans can't evaluate very well. We see that on social media every time you open your newsfeed. But there are ways where you can simulate it, and I think frequency and recency both feed into that. Narrative form feeds into that, and that brand presence across the universe feeds into that. So if nobody else is talking about you, you got to talk about yourself.
Love it.
Whether it's you or client, whatever.
That's money right there, guys. So I mean, this is the last question I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. If there's one piece of advice that you can give to an upcoming SEO professional that wants to get into the industry game or wants to get into the industry as an SEO professional, what's your advice to them?
I mean, you know, I think live events can be a mixed bag because it's like going to a festival versus an artist concert. You're getting a festival set sometimes instead of something more in depth. But I think going out and meeting people, talking to people, not just for the stuff that you learn, but to freshen up your own thinking. If you have to talk to somebody, whether it's in a formal setting or you're just sitting across a beer from with somebody else, if you've got to articulate something that you believe to be true or believe to not be true, you're firing those synapses. You're testing your own reasoning, your own framework for understanding things. And so, you know, I don't know that there's a substitute for being able to do that in person, simply because we are social creatures.
Yep.
We evolved that way. So yeah, go bite the bullet, go to some events, meet people, talk to them, hit people up. I mean, people jump into my DMs all the time. I have no idea who the hell they are. Realistically, they have no idea who the hell I am. They're not pitching me. They just want to chat about something. You know, if I've got 5 minutes to kill and I want to stop doom scrolling, I'll give them my level best to give them a straight take on things. And so talking with folks is key. Don't do what I did for years, which is like blindly search like a squirrel for the nuts that you can't see.
All right, love it. So for this episode to feel complete for you, please let us know how people can get a hold of you, your groups, your trainings. Where can people find it? And do you have a short link I could put into the live chat for people to go to?
Yeah, you probably can't see this because
there we go.
I've got.
There we go. Go more to the side. No, other side. There we go. So it's
old-fashioned.
NOV
Novlink
/
so
future of search.
Future of search, you'll get that webinar we were talking about earlier. And then / darkest AI is a mastermind that Holly Starks is putting on. And the two of us are doing a day on just AI overviews and featured snippets and that crap. And you'll get, Holly is one of those people. Just freaking amazing. I don't know how her brain works. Doesn't work like mine. So you're going to get, two very different approaches, but we both get good results. And I would also say along those lines, track what Dre has done, go to his new site, reverse engineer stuff, pay attention. This is a very fluid environment. It's changing all the time.
Yep, guys. Thank you for that. So thank you again for spilling the beans on some of the things here and letting us know some certain things. I love that and sharing all your knowledge while I'm here. So can you hold on for 1 quick second while I sign off? Hold on for 1 quick second.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. That concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And don't forget to visit my new website I just launched on AIO. It's AIO.so, AIO.so. It's free. I'm spilling the beans on everything of what I found ranking. Like if you want to see how I rank for YouTube, SEO King of YouTube SEO in AIO and AI mode, it's all in there. Follow it, and it's gonna like Guerin just mentioned, it's fluid. So I'm gonna be updating that always, adding more, maybe taking things out. So be sure to check out AIO.so for more, and check out the YouTube SEO King for YouTube SEO. I actually built it for a checklist on optimizing in YouTube, and I'm all about video SEO and YouTube SEO, and that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, because the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre de Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!